The perfect breakfast burrito doesn't exist. Of course, everyone's definition of perfect is different, but if you ask me, this one's pretty darn good. We started off with 2 slices of bacon, which we then first attempted to cut into strips, but then realized that our knife was too dull, so we had to hone the edge a little bit to realign it. And don't worry, the knife was definitely cleaned between cutting and honing. There's just a bit of movie magic going on here. Then once our knife was back to its sharpened glory, we were able to cut the bacon into thin strips. And then it was time to fry the bacon. Now you don't necessarily need to add any oil to the pan, it's just up to your preference. And in that same vein, so is how much you cook your bacon. I know some people like it crispy and some people like it a bit chewier. I personally prefer my bacon crispy, so that's how we made it. So once the bacon is done, you can drain it and then set aside for later. And in the meantime, we're making a fresh salsa by combining tomatoes, red onion, and jalapeno with a little bit of salt. But obviously, like with most of our recipes, if you're making this at home, you can switch it up based on your preferences. Okay, now that fresh salsa is done, it's time to start cooking the eggs. But first, butter. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love watching butter melt in the pan. Oh, that was like a religious experience for me. Okay, now that the butter is melted, we can add our eggs. So we use 3 eggs that we whisked in a bowl beforehand. And our heat here is on medium-high. If you want to cook your eggs the low and slow Gordon Ramsay way, feel free to do that. Again, it's totally up to you. So once the eggs were mostly cooked, we added 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. And this is going to A, slow down the cooking process, and B, add a creamy texture to the eggs. And these eggs are looking about done, so it's time to start assembling the burrito. And you want to start with a fairly large tortilla, basically the biggest size that you can find. So to the tortilla, we added a good tablespoon or 2 of mayonnaise and then spread it out evenly. Then we also added a good scoop of finely diced chipotle peppers, and this added a nice sort of smoky heat to the burrito. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we're pretty big fans of cheese over here. So we then added about half a cup of finely shredded cheddar cheese. Listen, I never said this was a healthy burrito. Next, it's time to add your bacon, whether it's crunchy or chewy, just as long as it's not slimy. And I did used to know someone who requested their bacon slimy, and it still haunts me to this day. Okay, we're getting a little sidetracked here, so it's time to add the eggs. And you want to add them slightly off-center because it will make it easier to roll up your burrito later. And finally, just top with your fresh salsa, and then it's time to roll. And folks, this is a bit of a tricky part. Depending on how much you stuffed in your burrito, this could be really easy or really tricky. Basically, just turn your tortilla so that the part with the egg is closest to you. And then you need to lift up the end of the tortilla and fold it over the eggs tightly. From there, you can fold the 2 sides in towards the center, and then pull the whole thing towards you as you roll. And the key here is to wrap it as tightly as possible. So your hands might get a little messy, but that's all part of it. So once you have it tightly wrapped, you're going to transfer it to a preheated pan over medium heat. And you want to put it with the seam side down because we want to seal that first. And from there, you just need to cook on all sides for a couple minutes each until brown and crispy. Now for the reveal. Of course, you can just eat it like a whole burrito, but we wanted that nice cross section, so we cut ours in half. And isn't that just the most perfect breakfast burrito you've ever seen? Let us know if you try this at home, and also while you're here, click on one of these other great videos and subscribe for more amazing recipes.